David, we have to reiterate that this is a spoiler review. This is a spoiler talk. We need to let them know before we announce it that this is a spoiler talk. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3, in full spoiler talk.
Not only are we talking about spoilers for Volume 3, but we're going to be talking about spoilers for Volume 1, Volume 2, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame, in terms of character arcs for those first ones, the first four. But yeah, so we saw Volume 3 of the Guardians trilogy. Brian, generally, how, before we dive right in, did you like it?
It's nice to see not only a disconnect from the rest of the MCU, but also a good MCU movie. Feels like it's been a while since we saw one this good, like maybe No Way Home. But I'm still probably riding the high, maybe down the line, I'll think differently, but right now it's my favorite Guardians movie.
Interesting. Okay. Maybe I'd say probably Volume 1 for different reasons. I think that it hit at a certain time in my life, because I remember back in the day before this friendship was only a twinkle in our eyes that we were yet to experience. But I remember when that first teaser came out, and you really did see a different side to the Marvel universe. And that first teaser that had Hooked on a Feeling, and you're like, oh wow, the music seems like we're going to incorporate music in this. And it seemed like a ragtag bunch of people. I remember my dad I showed him the teaser trailer, and he went, this looks like shit. And I remember the kind of consensus online. It was like, everyone was like, who are the Guardians of the Galaxy? I've never heard of these people. At least what, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, the Avengers, they were characters that people had at least heard of. Guardians of the Galaxy, no one had heard of them. Unless you read comics, you didn't know about these people. And then I remember, I actually didn't see it in theaters. And
yeah,
I know. I saw it on a laptop. Me and a friend stayed up late one night. We watched it. It was a shitty 360p version. Someone holding it in the cinema, and we were laughing our asses off. We thought it was hilarious. So for that reason, the first version, the first volume 1, is my favorite. This is a good second. I'd say that I quite enjoyed it. The first one, similar to you, I could be just, the time-wise. Don't forget, the first one came out 2014, so we've been sat with it for 9 years. I've seen it multiple times. This one, I've seen it a week ago, not even less than a week ago, 4 days ago, and I've only seen it once. So times, opinions change and times change. So,
well, I'd like to add to that. I would acknowledge that the first one is a better quality movie, and the second one is a more funnier one. But this third one is the most emotional.
Definitely. And I think that it builds on the characters and the relationships that are set up in the first and the second one.
Yeah, because one main reason I love this, it wouldn't be the case if it were not for any of the previous chapters. So yeah, you go. But it's just because it's the combination of these characters' arcs and this collection of characters, which are the Guardians of the Galaxy. This is the last time we're going to see the script together.
And they've heavily said that. They've said this is the last time. This is the end of the trilogy. This is the last time you'll see this group of Guardians together.
We can see the characters again. We might get a few years down the line in an Avengers Secret War, if we're not fatigued by Marvel at that point. One quick sequence of any and all existing Guardians who will be in the franchise to be there. We'll see down the line, but right now this is a nice closing up the book. This Guardians. I remember thinking back at the first time I was looking up on Wikipedia. It was the first time I was getting used to the internet because I just never bothered. And I remember reading up on the synopsis and the cast. I love actors, so when I saw, oh my god, Vin Diesel, Bradley Cooper, Michael Rooker, I know him, and oh yeah, Zoe Saldana, and who are these other characters? I think I remember that. Chris Pratt, and oh yeah, who else is in this? John C. Reilly, and yeah, I remember him. This cast of actors playing these characters. I thought the movie was going to be something like Star-Lord is out of prisoner transport escort, and he escapes by no fault of his own, just by dumb luck, and fellow prisoners who were on the transport route, escape with him into the galaxy, and on their adventure they go. So they get something like that, the first Guardians movie with the prison break, but that's how they start with them. Oh, it's taking me back. I want to watch it now. But I loved it. And I didn't really realize it was part of the MCU until, oh, Jesus, like maybe until watching it. I can't remember, but like when you see, oh yeah, there's Thanos who was teasing Avengers, and oh yeah, there's that alien with the 2 thumbs that gets his neck snapped in the second scene of that Guardians movie. He was in the Avengers one as well. He was actually like the above Loki.
Yeah.
And he was like, disregard you, no name actor, character. And Guardians of the Galaxy established itself as a real opposite of what the Avengers is. You watch the Guardians as like, this is a great piece of entertainment, palate cleanser. It's a bit whimsy, it's a bit wacky, it's a great collection of diverse characters, whereas the Avengers also serious and save the galaxy and all that.
Save the world, whereas the Guardians are off. They're in the same universe, but they're off doing their own thing
in the cosmos.
Yeah, in the cosmos, and we have humanoid aliens, but realistically, the first Avengers team, or sorry, not the first Avengers, the first Guardians team is 1 human and 4 aliens.
Yeah, but
while varying with 2 humanoid aliens, but we have one that's a raccoon and one that's a tree.
Yeah,
so it's very much a diverse group.
That list goes higher up of non-human characters.
But as we learn throughout these movies, you don't have to be of the same species to be a family.
Oh yeah,
and it's no more evident that it is in this movie when we're going to launch now, I think, into spoilers for Volume 3. So, we gave you a warning, so don't come complaining if we spoil some for you. But this movie is very much Rocket's movie.
Yeah. It's funny, you watch the first one, maybe even the second one, it's Quill's story. But this one, who only features Rocket on his deathbed for most of it, still is Rocket's movie. It's Rocket's story, even continued in the Avengers movie. Yeah, they played off the joke. They played off so many jokes, but it's coming down to a really serious emotional time for these characters, because the movie is about saving Rocket. He's on his deathbed. He's got a hole in his chest, and they can't save him because they need to retrieve MacGuffin number, whatever.
He's got a kill switch inside him. They need the access code in order to save him.
And the access code is from the person who tortured him. They teased this backstory of Rocket back in the first Guardians, being ripped apart and put back together. He remembers all that, and now we've seen all that. And what way to hit a villain than High Evolutionary? Because Rocket is shown to be very smart, smarter than his creator, who has a huge issue with that, because to the High Evolutionary, he has such an issue with not being the smart man of the room. He not only looks down at everyone who he may not have even created, but all his creations. He likes to play God, but he still wants to make perfection species, the perfect evolutionary race, but still be in control. He's Mozart, he's Beethoven, he's a mocker. He takes pride in laughing at the fact that Rocket thought he was going to move on to the better place with all his friends, but no, he felt a bit of closure of High Evolutionary, telling him that, oh no, you are a mistake that we learned from. You're not perfect at all in his mind. And well,
you are able to fix this problem, but you can't even see that we lied to you.
Yeah.
It's
not even lied to him, but like, it's like, oh, you thought this? No. And there was that one scene where he was sitting, Rocket was sitting on his lap and like, almost being like, well, a father figure, teacher, and then, but no. He wants what's in his brain. He's like trying to learn from him as look at this contraction of a species that, what a cunt. So, even more so, Rocket has the bright idea to escape while High Evolutionary was expecting it. Feels like that. kills his, might have been a love interest. She was already mature before Rocket was going to like that. Rocket was only an infant when Lada is killed. His friends are killed, and Rocket is just standing there wailing in agony. And High Evolutionary call the guards come, bring them back into the cage, to eliminate them. And what was it? He's like mocking his agony in cries. He was like, "Oh, okay, whatever your number is," because he always referred to him as a number.
Yeah, we get it. You're the saddest one in the room.
Yeah, you can scream the loudest, but like he's mocking him because he just looks at him. It's like this is a waste of time, Way to go to scratch his entire face off. Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, that shut him up. I think the High Evolutionary took a little personal vengeance because he had to reattach his mask face to his body again, because
he definitely never forgot that because of the fact that he
was humiliated for himself. It's like, I am a god and this little vermin did this to me.
I think he's humiliated in more ways than one as well, because he always needs to be the smartest one in the room, the High Evolutionary. And when Rocket points out the flaw in one of his machines, his evolution machine, he points out the flaw and he's like, "How did you know that? How did you figure this out? How did something that I created figure out a problem that I couldn't even see?"
Yeah.
And then, so both intellectually and then physically, that Rocket can come and scratch off his face and in a way make him imperfect. He doesn't have a face anymore. He's ripped it off. So he had that kind of vendetta throughout the movie that he needs Rocket, and he does he want him? I forget his actual motivations. Was it to create a new species, the ultimate species?
He wanted to create the perfect species. Why it was humanoid animals from Earth, I do not know. But it was all about removing the animalistic rage from them and making them civilized, mature, like us. Funny enough, throughout the movie, he looks down at all the other characters, even other characters like Quill and Groot, when they come to say we need this to save our friend. And he's like putting up his fingers, like, "One moment, please.
You'll wait until I'm ready."
Yeah. So he's doing that to everyone else. But if Rocket's in the same room as High Evolutionary, he is just wailing out of anger and all sorts of insecurities because Rocket has bested him, like you said, physically and intellectually. What way for a villain to go about himself? Even his own minions grew consciouses and went to decide their own fates because the High Evolutionary wanted to release these beasts from creatures upon the Guardians and the Ravengers and all the citizens of Nowhere who came to fight in the climax. And all his minions that he created, they're like turning against him, saying, "No, we are not doing this, we are retreating," and that's it. And, well, he controls gravity, so he killed them all.
He has no, I suppose it's interesting that he wants to play God and he wants to create this perfect species,
but he wants to still be in control.
But he has no respect for life. At the same time, that he wants to create life, but he has no respect for it.
The character Earth he created with all the humanoid animals, it's just like Gus, and he saw the bad in it, and he's like, "Okay, yeah, gonna blow it up."
That's right. Yeah, a whole world, a whole planet. If we said it was equal to Earth, that's 7, close to 8 billion people dead, just like that. Yeah, you're right. They're not perfect. Done. I'll kill anything in the room, anyone that stands against me. The other characters, Adam Warlock, his race, the Sovereign, he created those as well. And he said that, if you don't do what I want, I'm just going to kill all of you and all of your people.
But I like that little point there, because then that gave a bit of motivation for Adam Warlock to succeed in his quest in retrieving Rocket to deliver to the High Evolutionary, even against High Evolutionaries and minions as well.
Mm-hmm.
But to follow up on that, Adam Warlock, we're introduced to him from the get-go. The movie opened up with Rocket, walking through the streets of Nowhere, and then in the background, we were introduced to all the other Guardians, even Cosmo and Kraglin, and eventually to Quill. But then he put Quill to bed, he struck, pressed over, and then Rocket is attacked by Adam Warlock. And had to wear makeup and all, but it's, I like how he sort of introduced and they displayed it quite clear. Adam Warlock is just a newborn infant in a god's body.
Mm-hmm.
And Rocket narrowly escapes him, and Adam Warlock's looking around in a circle behind his cave. Where'd you go, squirrel? He's very narrow-minded in his mental capacity and maybe in his vision as well. And I like how when this threat has come to nowhere, Nebula, who Adam Warlock took out, Groot, who Adam Warlock took out, Drax, and Adam Warlock took out. He took out them all one by one. They all had their moment to fight off. And I love how the bystanders are pleading with him to, no, please don't hurt her, to Nebula. That's how good of a presence she is to Nowhere. She's like an ambassador, a protector for Nowhere, and her people are begging for his mercy on her. And Groot, like, full on trying to swarm out of Warlock, and like he just ripped to shreds. Drax, the Destroyer, we got a bit of destroying in this from Drax. Couldn't take Adam Warlock, which is right. So, but still, Adam Warlock, took some sort of sword to the gut, and it's like he wasn't expecting it. There's a little sign. It's like, no, it's not supposed to happen. He really is he's not a buffoon. He's a pouty, whiny baby.
He's a child. Yeah, he hasn't got the mental capacity to do anything that he's not just told. That he's told, go to Nowhere and get the raccoon.
Yeah.
And that's all he's been told.
And that one scene where he vaporized that Ravager, who had that little alien dog, and he takes a liking to him. It's like, I will train him I will train him the way of the sovereign.
Yeah.
I'll train him not to do that. And I like the way he was portrayed. He wasn't portrayed as the main villain with a bunch of insecurities. No, that was reserved for the High Evolutionary. Adam Warlock was
he's an antagonistic force, definitely.
Well, it was the inciting incident, and he was a fellow ensemble for a collection of characters, but he wasn't as impactful in his role.
No, I don't think that beyond the inciting incident, he didn't really play much into the story. Like, he just kept turning up, and it just felt like Adam Warlock's here. Yeah. Oh, Adam Warlock's here. Oh, did you forget Adam Warlock's here? And he just kept like popping up, and you're like, oh, okay. I just like kept forgetting that he was there, and that's from that first scene when he arrives and then flies off. I felt like every scene after that, he's just like, oh yeah, by the way, he's here. It just felt like he was underutilized after, but he was presented in a way that because he is childish like that, and he is like antagonistic, but he's not like a bad guy, or he's not evil or anything like that. So he's just he is a child, and he can learn, and he is put in a position where he can be a good guy.
Yeah.
He will have an evolution throughout. If we see him again.
There was this one point where his mother, the Sovereign from the second movie, who was a secondary antagonist in that movie, he's killed. And like, I don't want to try to save her. And I did want maybe a scene where he like comes to face with that, but that didn't happen. The next time we saw him, he was sort of unconscious, back on the Guardian ship, strapped down, tied down. And in the climax of the fight, he's still trying to do what he thinks he should do, because what else is he to do? He goes to
no one else to guide him.
Yeah,
he still thinks, oh, I need to save my people. Get the squirrel, get the rabbit,
get
the raccoon.
Yeah, and Gamora, who was very vicious in this movie, picks up the dogs, like, I will kill this thing if you do anything. It's like, let's not be pissed. Like, I like the way those little quick remarks, like, he was very quick to say it. He wasn't like emotional about it. He was like, now hold on a minute, be a good chum now and give me the squirrel so I can root for my people. We need the credit. It was like, he's saying this to the pig who's on his side, and he rips the head off. And when Gamora sees Rocket away from him, he's still holding the pig's head around his arm because he's taken about the thing at hand. He's like, oh, where's the squirrel? You know,
I think that actually is a good way of showing, like, he doesn't know his own strength.
yes,
Like, I don't think he intended to kill the pig monster. It's literally just that, well, hold on, oh, whoops. You know, he's so strong, and he hasn't got the mental capacity to know his own strength.
yeah.
That he is, you know, he's accidentally killing people.
And I like that approach. Like, I didn't take issue to it, and it was inconsequential to the movie. I just like what they did. I was happy with it. As an introduction to this ensemble, he can be more next time we see him.
Yeah,
and I'm glad Will Poulter was cast as him.
I like Will Poulter. Yeah, he was good in the ring. Yeah,
I like him.
someone you just mentioned there that I'd actually like to discuss, Gamora. She has had, I think, she was the person that is the most interesting going into this movie to see where she is at, because we had her as the daughter of Thanos in the first movie, and she's on an assignment for him, but she wants to kind of defect, and then over the course of the movie comes to join the Guardians, and then is an integral part of the team in Volume 2. Second lead character. She's kind of nearly convincing Nebula that Nebula shouldn't be with Thanos. She should be good, like Gamora. And then we have, of course, Infinity War, where she dies. She's dead. And then in Endgame, we see a version of Gamora who travels to our time. She travels back from 2014, slightly before the first Guardians movie, and then she is in our present day. And then moving forward, that's the version of Gamora that is now present in the MCU. It's a version that hasn't actually gone through Guardians 1 and Guardians 2 and Infinity War. It's someone who is, for all intents and purposes, Gamora, but she hasn't gone through the experiences that we've seen her go through and what has made her an integral part of the Guardians. So when she is, when she's introduced in this movie, she has a new family, and that's the Ravagers. And she is a part of their crew, and she's an integral part of their crew. She's the contact for Nebula. She kind of works with the Guardians, adjacent to the Guardians. You know, she's still working with the Ravagers, but she doesn't quite understand the bond that they all have together. Like, there's certain points where actually an integral part of the thing is that she doesn't understand Groot. Whereas every other member of the Guardians has to translate for Groot, translate what Groot is saying to her. Whereas back in the first volume, Volume 1, the only person that would do that was Rocket. Everyone else was just hearing, I am Groot, I am Groot, I am Groot. And Rocket would translate for us. But now, through this one, everyone was translating for Rocket. For Groot.
I like the way that these little funny, quick cutaway jokes, like, you're all just making what he's saying. It's like quick things like that. And I think that just hits home as to more we lost Gamora. This is not the Gamora we know. She's a bit more wild. She's a bit more rude. She's a bit more cruel. She's a bit more vicious. Her hair is different. She's a bit more wild.
But that's exactly it. Is exactly what you're saying. That's the environment that she's been in, which is the Ravagers, who are a bit more violent, a bit more crude, as compared to the Guardians, who would be a bit more emotional. You know, they'd be listening to music. More sensitive to each other, as opposed to the Ravagers. So I think that was a great way of, you know, really kind of coming to terms with the Gamora that we've known is no longer with us. She's dead. She's gone. She's at the bottom of the cliff that she was thrown off in Infinity War. This is a completely new Gamora. She may look like old Gamora. She may sound like old Gamora, but she doesn't think like her. And I really did like the fact that throughout the movie, there's no her coming to terms with, oh, you know, maybe like she does have pity for the Guardians and she does work with them, but there was no real moment where her and Peter rekindled their love and she like saw, you know, oh, maybe I am better off with the Guardians, because for her, they're not her family. It's the Ravagers that are. She has that nice little moment towards the end where, you know, she said, like, she kind of gives, I suppose, Peter a little bit of comfort, where she says, like, I bet we were fun. You know, I acknowledge the fact that I look like and I am the person that you were in love with, but that's not me. And she said, you know, I bet we were fun. I bet we had a lot, I bet.
And I think that was important for us as an audience to see, because Quill is saying, yeah, these Ravagers, they're not your family. We were your family. Well, no. We get that scene at the end where Sylvester Stallone comes in, hugs her, welcome.
Yeah, and they all come in.
And then all these no-name alien-looking creatures, they're hugging her.
Yeah.
And they're embracing her.
And she's happy to be home. For her, that's her family.
And yeah, that was nice.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice to see. And it was sad to see as well for Quill, and it was not traditional. It was not what you'd expect. And I'm delighted for. I'm sad for it. It's very real if time travel were real. But it was nice that is the approach James Owen took. It makes you open your eyes a little bit more and talk about it. Look what we're doing. And she's younger now than Nebula. Oh, how the positions have changed between Gamora and Nebula. Nebula is now a more reformed, proper member of the Guardians, but like Gamora, Nebula is now the big sister, the more veteran. She's standing her ground, and she's standing up to Gamora for Quill and for Rocket, but also then for herself. And Nebula is still like the very angry aunt to everyone, but she still is there to care for you. And that's just her development. It took her a while to smile, but we'll get to that at the end, but we did. And I like the way her presence was just always the humorous moments I'm talking about. Like, I never noticed your eyes were so black, and I always thought Brock and her were a little bit closer in this movie, and she's still being a bickering bitch towards Drax and Mantis and all. And Mantis is always taking shit, but there's a certain scene I'd like to get into later. But yeah, what do you think of Nebula?
I think Nebula, through all of the movies, and especially then punctuated with this one, she's my favorite Guardian.
Okay.
I think that her arc of all of them, I know that it's obviously Rocket's movie, and his arc is important, but I think her arc is my favorite of all of them. As she starts out in Volume 1 as an antagonistic force. She's essentially it's Ronan and her as antagonists.
Yeah.
And that movie ends with her kind of defeated. Like, her whole backstory is that she was tortured, similar to Rocket, that she was tortured. She was taken apart and put back together whenever her and Gamora would fight, and whoever would lose, Thanos would replace a part of them with the robot part. Funnily enough, it's always been Nebula. Gamora never lost. So Nebula always had that chip on her shoulder regarding Gamora. And then as we move into Volume 2, she's there kind of not so much under Thanos' thumb, but kind of just out for revenge for herself. As that movie kind of concludes, she realizes the error of her ways in that, oh, it's Thanos who really I should be angry at. It's not Gamora. She was in a similar situation to me. And so she goes after Thanos. And that's where we pick up with her then in Infinity War. And she's being tortured once again by Thanos. And then she breaks away and she comes to fight with the other Guardians on Titan. And then as that movie ends, Gamora's dead. Peter, Drax, Mantis, Groot all snapped away. The only ones left are her. The only ones left are her and Rocket. And as we go into Endgame, then we see there's two moments in Endgame that I think are just perfect for her character. And it's at the very beginning, when they're on the ship her and Tony are just playing a little game of flip football.
Yeah, the opening scene.
Yeah, and they're just playing back and forth, and Nebula wins. And there's this moment, go back and watch it, where she kind of like takes a step back almost. She's like, whoa, like I've never won anything. I've never been the winner. And she kind of takes a step back, and she's reluctant to like shake Tony's hand, but she does. And she realizes like it's this like little moment of like, whoa, this is what winning feels like.
It was fun.
It was just a great little moment of character development. I love it. And then the next scene, it's not too far along after, but it's when they land. Tony's being rushed inside for help, and her, Nebula, and Rocket are just sat outside, just on the steps of the ship. They realize we've lost our family. Nebula's lost her sister, and Rocket's lost his found family, his second found family, because obviously in Volume 3 he's got Lila and Teefs and Floor, but he lost them, and now he's lost the Guardians. And there's this moment where they hold hands.
Yeah.
And they just kind of...
Not what you'd see at all. Those two characters.
No, they almost never really interacted.
And then those, because, yeah, come here. Like, that's
let's, comfort each other. We're the only ones left. And it's just a great little moment of two characters that you wouldn't have put together at all. I mean, they started out as enemies, and now they're family. And so coming into this movie, they obviously get everyone back. She plays an instrumental role in getting everyone back. And then we come into this movie, and she is, in a way, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but she's like the mother figure of nowhere. That people are like crying out for Anne Warlock to show her mercy, like, oh, stop. They want her to be safe.
Yeah.
And so throughout then the movie, like, she is that kind of motherly figure. She like cares about people. Like you said, she's like the begrudging aunt, giving out but still helping out. And I think, for me, that arc of having her go from the second villain to someone who she hears over the communicator, like Rocket's voice, and she's like, oh my God, like Rocket, like, you're okay. And it's just a great, and it all culminates, I think, for me. I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but the end scene where they're dancing, and she's dancing with everyone, and she's smiling and throws the hands in the air. She'd love a life. I just thought that for me, it cemented her as my favorite Guardian, her arc throughout all 5 of these movies.
Yeah. Like, just top it off, she is, to me, I see her as a scary, yes, a mother figure as well, a mother guardian of sorts, especially at least that's where she could lead up to. But like, there's like 2 moments she's running back towards to safety with a bunch of kids. She's carrying a child on her shoulders or something like that. And then we see her again doing it again to some sort of animal, like a deer, over her shoulder. And both times she's like screaming, get out of the way, go, 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 go. She doesn't have a smile. She doesn't smile until the very end. And she laughs as well. And that is we saw that in the trailer, I think, but it was nice to see that this is where it ended. There was actually a point where I thought, okay, Rocket's not gonna die. That moment where he was in between seeing Lila and his friends, but it wasn't his time. He still had a purpose, so he didn't die. I didn't see any other moments to come for any other Guardians left, but I thought, Nebula has to like get the controls of this ship.
Yeah,
I thought she was gonna end up staying behind.
I know, except it's seeing
that didn't happen. Delight for it couldn't have happened either way. All this significant character development itself, or only for this to be her fate.
That she sacrifices herself for everyone else. Yeah,
but it didn't happen. What we got was better, and she was still a bit narky and still a bit bitchy to other members, like especially Mantis. Mantis takes a lot of crap for everything, but she, I think, has just slowly turned into I'm done with this shit. It's like all she does is like trying to help and try to enjoy herself, but she's sensitive, but she does come around. She's like Drax in a way, in terms of her like curiosity, like things we would think, no, don't do this, don't do that, but like she like, remember that scene where she tries to throw the suits in to hide them in the pod. What it turns out is the garbage exposer, like shoots them into space. She took a lot of slack for that. It's like, it wasn't my fault, and they were supposed to stay with the shit, but no, Drax had a feeling, and we need to go help, and or also go right back in the shit. but no, and so like she blames Drax for that, and I feel like she has taken enough of crap. Like, goddamn, Mantis, is your fault. Mantis, why aren't you so clueless? You know, because that's how she kind of is in a way. She's naive, but she's not a baby bear. She's just, I don't know how really to describe it, or in the fact she's unaware, but not because she's an idiot like Drax. And she actually says that to Drax as well. And Drax, who insults everyone all the time, but he doesn't mean it, he actually takes her to that. But she does defend him at points because Mantis gets Drax in a way. Remember that scene in the second one where Drax is talking about his background? Yeah, well, my wife is dead and my daughter's dead. But he's being very catalogue about it, very
matter of fact,
yeah. And Mantis touches him, and Mantis cries. Drax is just still sitting there. Mantis is taking the emotion that's inside him that Drax is not able to bring out about. He's definitely very literate about himself.
I think that's his whole character, is that they don't understand metaphors, that literate.
Yes.
So I think that's definitely shown throughout. But you're right, like Mantis she's naive. She's in touch with like emotions and all, and she would know like what's the right thing to say to someone.
She's overly sensitive.
Yeah, and like she would know what to say. Like, that's the thing, is that no one kind of takes her seriously. Like, she has to get Drax to say something to Peter in order for him to hear it. So like, she's in touch that way and she's smart that way, but like realistically, like in the real world, in actual situations, she's just a little bit clueless. The same way Drax is, like, that they kind of act before they do.
Yeah,
they act before they think.
And yeah. God, it's so hard to. That's exactly what I wanted to say. But even now, a relationship together. Oh, I don't know if there was a love interest relationship there, or if it was just genuine good friends.
I think it was that. I never saw them as romantically interested in, not in any way, that either of them would be that way. That they're just kind of like almost in a way like a brother and sister bond, where it's like, you know, you don't get to make fun of him for that. I get to make fun of him for that.
Yeah,
don't, like, leave him alone. But yeah, she would do the same thing to him.
Yeah, because that's the thing where it's like, she touches that security guard's like, you are in love with him. It's like Drax is like, oh, here we go again. Like, he does this all the time, and like Drax isn't being, he's just playing along with it because he's been through this before. She always teases on him with these things, and she's snickering. Yeah, you know what? You're right. I take it back. It is almost like a brother sister relationship, and it's like Mantis knows how to poke fun at him, where like no one else is able to. Then there was that scene where Mantis is defending Drax against Nebula, saying, "Leave him alone. You don't know what he's been through." Mantis understands what Drax has gone through, that Drax doesn't even realize emotionally what he's gone through. He lost a daughter and his wife, and that story point was never really satisfied in any of the other movies. Like, he wasn't really the destroyer up until this movie, in my opinion. We didn't get somewhat of closure for him in getting revenge. I wanted a one-on-one with him and Thanos. Even if he lost easily, I still wanted it.
Similar to how Thanos had his one-on-one with Hulk at the beginning of Infinity War. Like, to see that would have been good in Infinity War. But I know what you mean. Like, he never really felt like a destroyer, and I think that's kind of punctuated in this movie with his character arc closing.
It's hit home in this one.
That's
See, to follow up on, he's an idiot. He's a very hard-skinned idiot. Like, he apparently knows to slouch all these kids that are kept prison by the evolutionary, and I speak their language. But there's that scene where the one half of the Guardians realize that Drax, Nebula, and Mantis are alive, and their kids are there, and Nebula's trying to resolve the situation, and so is Mantis. Drax is just sitting there in a crowd of kids. He's patting them on the heads, and he's playing with them. He's being playful and joyful with them. It's like, these kids are great. They're idiots. It's like that. I like, from that point there to the rest of the movie, it made it obvious when it was said that, Drax, you were never meant to be a destroyer. You were meant to be a dad. That was Nebula saying that to him. Nebula realized she was wrong. And that's more character development for her. And
that got me. That got me in the movie. That was, I was prepared. I was prepared to be an emotional wreck. That's what got me. That's what had the tear rolling down my face, was that line exactly, when we're never meant to be a destroyer. That was great.
But that scene where, also jumping ahead, but only briefly, that goodbye between Mantis and Drax, that got me.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a death scene. It wasn't anything else. It was just a goodbye. Drax waves goodbye because he needs to stay, and Mantis needs to go out and be on her own, be herself, to be her own person and not part of this ensemble. She takes those creatures she made good, essentially, and goes off and way to go, Dave Bautista, to bring a tear down. He cried, and yeah, no, that it's like really sick. He wanted to go with her, or he didn't want her to go because he missed it. She gets him, and he loves her, right?
He never admit it, but he does.
No, that's exactly it. She brought him out of his shell when he never came out of his shell. You know, it's like, I see what you're doing, but I'm not going out of your shell. But I love that relationship with them.
I think if you want more of that relationship, we haven't even mentioned it at all, but the Guardians holiday special.
Yeah, they're the lead characters.
They're the lead characters in that. So that's something that's it's a Disney Plus special. It's only about 40 minutes, but that's, if you want to see more of their relationship, that's where to go for that.
That was when their new ship was introduced. It was when, okay, so Krabby is now more established in using Yondu's arrow, and Cosmo, the dog that was briefly introduced.
It's not essential viewing, but it is definitely like that. There's a little bit of backstory as well.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, who's a dog now? I can talk with telekinesis. And oh, this guy, he's this like D character from the first Guardians, who was a C character in the second one. And there he is. And so they build it up. James Gunn's brother. And, you can say, I like him. He uses him just as well as he uses a WWE actor in a movie. James Gunn is so good at this, and I thought Kraven was good for the story plot that in Lead finally succeeding to whistle that arrow. Use my head, boy. I had a little cameo of Yondu. It was perfect. It was nice and quick, just to have them at the premiere, essentially.
Yeah,
and Cosmo, that she had her moment to retain the nowhere ship to the high evolutionary ship, and Mantis even pitching in to
boost her,
give her a little bit of strength. I love this. Just the bond that's nice to see, to have like teamwork.
Yeah.
All the way back to that opening when everyone was trying one-on-one with Warlock. It was like, get this fool out of here, destructing our feet. Like, just imagine all our friends just ganging on this one massive guy, pick on all of us, defend ourselves. And I really liked it. And that little recurring gag, she's a bad dog. I gotta say she's a good dog, and it's like, no, take it back. No, it doesn't even bother me, but you know what, the Russians would never call me a bad dog. And he was gonna call her a good dog at the end, and took her using her hours to do so. Yeah, she loved not being called a bad dog, and he was teasing as well. So I like that little thing there, and them two are more now. Those two are more reformed Guardians by the end of the movie as well, because a lot of heavy members have left it. Let me ask you this. What do you think of Groot?
Groot, I think this was my favorite version of Groot through any of the other iterations.
Yeah, gentle giant Groot. We had baby Groot, teenager. We even had a little bit of Kaiju Groot, and then we had a King Groot in that post-credit scene.
Yeah, no, this is like his version throughout, like him kind of bit hench, bit swole guy, and I think that he wasn't used as much as he was in other movies. I think that's just a consequence of having such a huge cast.
Yeah. Something. This is a different group from the first one. That first one,
he's dead.
Their personalities are quite different. He was a bit of a dumb, sweet, gentle giant. But this one, all the way since he was a baby, loving the music, loving the dancing. And that stuck all the way through. But we saw a little bit throughout the movie, but that scene where him and Quill are in that room and the bomb goes off and you see that silhouette, smoky shadow of Groot removing his branches from his bodies to take out the guns. And he's got like 4, 5, 6 arms of weapons on him, and he gives Quill his guns as well. It's like, this guy will mean business when it comes to protecting his own.
He definitely had a better grasp on what he could and couldn't.
He knew what he was doing. He knew the fight was there. Like he's watching that Quill trying to remove that MacGuffin from that henchman to get the access code to remove the voice from Rocket's heart. Groot was looking back at this ship driven by Gamora, and he's like, "Come on, hurry up, we gotta go."
I mean, but he knew even how to like use his own powers like that. Like he was able to have multiple arms. A little bit earlier on, he was able to grow to Kaiju Groot to scare him when they jump out of the ship. He can grow wings.
He was raised by these people.
Yeah, and he just has a better understanding of what he needs to do, what he can do. Like you said there, he's grown up. He was born with them, and he considers Rocket his dad, and like essentially everyone else is his aunties and uncles. You know, like these are people he's gonna.
I don't know if Rocket is his dad per se.
I think he does see him like that because they said in Infinity War, like obviously everything that Groot says is "I am Groot." That's all we hear.
Yeah.
But there is a script that is what he is saying.
Yeah, James Gunn, as he writes dialogue for Vin Diesel to reinvent. Okay, now say this, but translate it to the 3 words.
Yeah, but in Infinity War, when Groot is being snapped away, his final words are "Dad, help," and he's saying that to Rocket. So he sees Rocket as a father figure.
Okay.
So
he's flying the ship as well, Groot. He's flying the ship on his own. Remember that scene? Oh God, I forget we're seeing it. Yeah, he's flying the scene. He's flying the ship.
I think the moments that they use him in are good.
They're not. He's not for laughter anymore.
No,
that was for baby Groot.
Just for function. Yes,
he was. I like him in this. I don't know how to write the portrayals of Groot, but I really like him in this one. And then that translation at the end, instead of saying "I am Groot" one last time, we've had enough. We get "I love you guys,"
and it's not that he finally said something other than "I am Groot." It's that, and James Gunn has come out and said this, that we've now spent enough time with Groot that we understand him finally. So if you actually go back and watch it, I saw this as well. If you go back and watch it, his mouth is saying "I am Groot," but the words that we hear are "I love you guys." So he is saying "I am Groot." It's just that we finally understand that is what he's saying.
That is pretty cool. I've been looking forward to next time whenever that is. But yeah, there's a few more funny, entertaining things I like to get into before our final discussion of a certain character. They kept on going back to that joke with that introducing a video or the rabbit is rushing. And everyone who doesn't know Rocket really is referring to him as badger, squirrel, beaver, skunk, hedgehog, anything that's not raccoon, which he also doesn't identify himself as. The climax. I like that running gag. It never got old. It was great. It was nice to see. And then Drax tried to lie down on the couch so many times. It was boring. Then everyone was trying to tell him to not be rude.
And something we haven't even touched on, the first MCU F-bomb.
Thank God. I thought it was nice. Well delivered. It was a great scene to see. I'm glad Sarah got to do it before.
That I thought it actually was quite funny.
Yes.
Even though I'd seen the clip before, just the whole scene in context, it was used effectively.
I didn't know it was coming. And there was so many scenes in this movie, like drawing the guy, this is the guy we're looking for, shows a face, and I'm like, who says that was accurate look of the guy? It's like Deadpool drawing that picture of Francis. Have you seen this, man? Remember that scene? Oh, there's so many moments in this movie, and Nathan Fillion saying, "Oh yeah, man, I get you. This guy behind me stares at him for 5 seconds. He is on my case all the time. He's such an idiot." And that reflects to just calling Drax an idiot from time to time again. And oh, well, yeah, what else?
I think like that's the thing is that it, and Guardians has always been this way. Guardians is a funny.
It's a comedy.
It's yeah.
It's my favorite type of comedy. I think it's funnier than that, man.
I think it is funny, and this one delivers on the comedy as well. It's not like some movies where it's real like, oh, did I really just do this? Yeah, I did. It is like funny dialogue, and it's like jokes are funny. It's not like referencing something that just happened.
It is, and a quick cutaways back to the characters' reactions to it as well. It's like, oh, remember that bit? It's like Drax gives Quill a piece of his cookie or his criff, and that we had a quick moment of Mantis looking at him and back, and then
maybe I wanted to know,
but that was a few seconds later, walking away into the elevator, and Mantis giving that shit about Quill about not wanting to go home to see his grandfather, see if he's still alive, and then maybe I wanted a piece, and I was like, sorry, it was the last one. Cut to a wide shot, he's pulling the last one, he's eating it. Like, there were so many moments in that movie that it just makes all more why I love it so much.
It's able to balance the emotional stuff with the humor.
And the action. Yeah, we had a bit of an Avengers sequence with each other broken in that sequence. Not my favorite song I would have liked to have seen, but it's done in the way Guardians would have done it. And that's fine. And well, I mentioned it just there, but the last character we have to discuss,
the guy who started it all,
Star-Lord,
Peter Quill.
Chris Pratt,
the man from Earth. He was kind of our jumping in point, I suppose, the one who we were to relate to. He is the human amongst the aliens.
Yeah.
And it's his. It started out. It felt like his series of movies.
It's not anymore.
It's not. No, it's moved on past him, and I think that's evident.
And he's one of the team, and he passes the mantle off Captain to Rocket. And you know what? I remember thinking, no, Quill's the captain, when Thor being himself. So it's like, oh, the rabbits. Is there any right? He's the captain of this crew. And Chris Pratt, she's getting all insensitive about how I'm the captain. Well, no, Chris Pratt comes to his senses in that regard. It starts off with the movie, he's lost him more. And by the end of it, he realizes, no, she's gone. And
he has to go through a lot in this movie as well, because he's losing. He, comes close to losing Rocket. He says outrightly like that Rocket is his best friend, which is different than how he's been portrayed otherwise. Because in every other movie, they're kind of fighting.
Yeah,
they both see themselves as captain, but they're at odds with each other. But he, openly admitting like, "You're my best friend."
I also like the fact that a recurring funny thing, Drax can't say second best friend. But so that's why, I thought maybe Drax was gonna die there, but no, that didn't happen. But yes, back to Star-Lord. His arc in this is not rekindling his relationship with Gamora. We had that.
Well, he might be trying to do that. That's not where his overall arc is leading.
No, I'm glad what they did here with this is he goes out.
Something that I genuinely did not expect at all.
No, and as soon as they sort of mentioned that in foreshadowing, I'm actually glad this is where it's coming to, and this is where it does. He needs to talk to everyone. He was becoming an alcoholic. He wasn't becoming an effective member of the Guardians. He was sacked away in the Avengers movie. It was Rocket who was the main Guardian there, representing for the Avengers. And well, I thought it was actually quite bittersweet that he walks home and he finds his house and he walks into the house and his grandfather's still alive and he's there. And, that was always in the back of my mind, same with Drax's backstory, same with Rocket's backstory. That was nice to see. I really liked it. It's not what you thought. It's not live happily ever after. It's like, no, go home. And I think it was all ended together beautifully without days are over. Hours in the machine. I think, which I listened to literally that day.
Unbeknownst that it was in the movie.
I was listening to Florence Machine or on Vinyl, and I know the songs, and that was just what I was on.
It's, I think, one of the biggest songs in the world right now because of this movie.
And I'm glad I knew it before.
Mm-hmm.
I knew her, and I knew her song before that. So fuck you.
The ending is punctuated with "Dog Days Are Over" as we see the final kind of shots of all the Guardians and where they are and where they're going, and it really kind of hits you hard that, you know, it's over.
Yeah,
the dog days are over, and it's the struggle is over. They're all going to be in a much happier place. We hope that they're all happy now.
we walked into this movie thinking Drax and Rocket, especially Rocket, were going to die, and maybe that might not even be all, but no, all of them survive.
Yeah.
And it's just, rather than Drax dying, no, he gets to be a member or nowhere, meant to be a dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, be that. Finally, waves our hands in the air of joy, becomes quite the positive, effective leader of nowhere. Mantis moving on from her own journey, not being undermined and under the wing of all the Guardians.
Choosing our own path. Yeah.
Rocket becoming the captain, which, I wasn't in agreement with that back in Infinity War and Endgame, but you're right. And Groot was never the side, and going members with Adam Warlock, Kraglin, and Cosmo, and whoever that other child was with those in the Paris, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But in Gamora, like we said earlier, she has her family now, and that's not what we know. And Star-Lord goes home, says Star-Lord will return.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie packed a lot into it. And that, that last moment where Rocket chooses his identity of being a raccoon, he saved all those baby raccoons.
Mm-hmm. That it's not, he shows that he and the High Evolutionary are not the same.
Yeah.
In that the High Evolutionary only valued like higher form life, and they kind of actually make a point when they're saving everyone that they get all the higher beings out. You know, everyone that's kind of got a consciousness that can talk. But Rocket, stops him. It's like, no, we don't leave unless everyone leaves, and they save all the animals. Do you know that he values life compared to the High Evolutionary who doesn't?
Yeah. Did you think in that last sequence where Star-Lord narrowly escapes that explosion point to be frozen in space, did you think he was going to die then and there?
I thought so. I thought that going into this, as like we said earlier, we were told from the beginning, this is the last time you'll see this group of Guardians together. So I expected someone to die. So when he
was frozen in space,
and it wasn't even like kind of sacrificial moment. It was just very much like he went back for his Zoom.
It was for Rocket. It was for Rocket. He was trying to.
He was getting the Zoom for Rocket. Yeah, I suppose in his head he knew that he was going to go home already. He had already decided.
Yeah.
So he was going back for the Zoom. He jumps out, but he doesn't make the jump, and so he's out in space. I thought that was going to be him. I thought maybe, that Zoom might have floated back to nowhere and they would have got that, but not.
That's the third time that's happened. He saves a Gamora in space. He goes into space with Yondu. Yondu saves him. And this is the third time. And face the forward side, you think that would make you laugh a bit, but no, this is actually a very dire situation.
Mm-hmm.
And Cosmo headed in, everyone's screaming. Groot tries to save him, but his branch just freezes. I thought this was it. I thought something like the Zoo was going to be floated back to it, or I thought it was just going to be a poor, unexpected dash that would come to the Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
And he did a great job trying to escape that explosion, going to be in space. But I like that it was Adam Warlock who comes in with that, the two of them replicating that painting.
Yeah, the creation of man. Yeah, with
So Adam Warlock comes in, with the favour. No, he rescues Quill, and that's he don't know how the hell he's able to talk after that. Doesn't he need to be, I don't know, put into a chamber to be rejuvenated?
He's got the celestial or whatever in it.
Fair enough. But
he's got the plot armor.
But I like that even then they all hug more. It's all her family, but she's happy that everyone happy and surviving. And Adam Warlock, he's like, okay, that's one hand here. Would you have a hand there? So, hugs. Yes, this is good. Yes, this. I am hugging.
I think it's good that the stakes aren't only if someone dies. Do you know, like, how do you raise the stakes and that someone would die? And I think we went into it thinking that someone would die, but in a way, the stakes are also the characters' relationships to each other.
Yeah.
I felt like in an earlier scene with Drax, Nebula, and Mantis that the cracks were kind of showing in the team. So when the team started to break apart, I was like, it's probably for the best. These people do love and care about each other, but maybe they're not the best together. So having a movie where anyone could die, and I felt like in this one there were a lot of bits where characters were getting hurt and were in positions to die throughout, that having the characters, having no one die, and more so breaking up the team and everyone going their separate ways, it's more satisfactory. It's better than having someone die and having to move on from that, but just having them all go their separate ways. It's bittersweet. I'm happy that they're all still alive, but I'm sad that they're not together.
And it's all the more real, and it's still subverting expectations.
Yeah.
I'm delighted for it. What a way for James Gunn to keep everything so intriguing and not do what you thought was supposed to happen. No, and it's still all the more real for it. I was getting emotional for a scene. I know someone was not dying, but the moment was still emotional. I was also getting teary for someone saying goodbye to another person because they didn't want to go. They didn't want to see them go. That's this guy is leading DC.
He knows. He knew these characters. He felt like he was a member of the Guardians.
Yeah,
you know, in that he understood them as well as they understood each other. And I think that him, we didn't even really go into the whole history of why he's with DC, that he was off Guardians and then back to Guardians. But however, I'm excited to see what he does now with Superman and the other DC characters. He's writing and directing Superman Legacy, so I'm excited to actually see what he does emotionally. You know, forget the action sequences. The action was great in this as well, but specifically the character relationships between Superman and, say, Lois and Jimmy, and I think it's specifically kind of about the legacy and relationships with fathers, whether that be Jor-El or Jonathan. But
you just describing that makes me all more sad because we're not getting any of these Guardians again. We really said goodbye to this, and it does feel real, more so than losing Tony Stark.
But it's good that we at any point could see them again.
Yeah,
everything is open, and they could pop up in Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty or anything.
But right now, I'm happy that it's just a closed book because this is a good movie. We just spent over an hour talking about it.
Yes, our Loris episode.
For me, is my favorite Guardians movie.
I think talking about it, I definitely like it more. Haven't spoken about it now.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna see it again.
I've been thinking about seeing it again too. Whether that be in cinemas or waiting for it to come on Disney Plus. I think if I don't see it again in the cinema, I'll happily, like day one that it's on Disney Plus, sit down and watch it again.
What a way to end a trilogy. Successful one.
What a way to end a podcast.
David, take it away.
So obviously we love movies, as you can tell by the fact that we've just spent over an hour talking about Guardians Volume 3. We hope that you enjoyed listening to this episode. We hope you enjoyed Guardians as much as we did. Make sure that you are following us on all of our platforms. We are on Instagram at Talking Pictures Pod. We're on Twitter. We have a TikTok. We don't post much on there, but you can still follow us anyway. You can send in your questions to talkingpicturespodcast1@gmail.com. Make sure that you're subscribed for everything, because we have an action-packed summer coming up with movies. We have the likes of The Little Mermaid, Fast X,
Indiana Jones,
Destiny, Flash, Into the Spider-Verse, Mission Impossible, Oppenheimer, Barbie. We have so much coming, so we are going to talk about hopefully all of those and more. But you do not want to miss it. Make sure that you're keeping up to date. Make sure that you're subscribed to us. If you give us 5 stars on a rating, we really appreciate it. Brian, any final words?
If there's anything we can do better, let's do it better. Let us know. Send in the questions. Otherwise, keep listening, keep loving, and thank you for listening.